Ladies and gentlemen, it is week 15. It is the calm before the COVID. I'm Kevin Tompkins, of course, with Gary Haddow, with Britt, Flinn. We are going to help you with your start sit stuff for week 15, likely your fantasy playoffs. So, Gary, Britt, how are we doing on this fine Sunday morning before Xmas? Throw up the X for Xmas.
I have my ugly Christmas sweater on, and it even has bells. So I'm pretty festive and excited.
I love it. I love it. I'm doing Christmas with my parents because they're going to my brother's for the holidays. So as soon as this is over, we're driving up to go see them, which will be fun because my 4-year-old is, I feel like he knows that there's presents coming, but he kind of just constantly forgets because he's a 4-year-old and like he's just like, ooh, butterfly.
That sounds like me. Yeah, I celebrate Festivus, so we put up the poll. It's all good times. Now, I don't know what we're doing, really. I'm more of a let's check with the missus and see what we're doing. So I'll probably know that morning when I get out of bed, just like I remembered we had to do this show when I rolled out of bed like 10 minutes ago. So, but no, let's do, because there's a lot of news. If you've been living under a rock the past week, you're going to be blindsided by all of the not just injury news, but COVID news. There's a reason why the banner had Storm crossed out and had COVID written in it, and why Baker Mayfield is slinging a big ball of COVID in the banner. So they have moved games. Obviously, this shouldn't be news. They moved the Cleveland Browns Raiders game from Saturday to Monday. Have moved Philadelphia, Washington, and Seattle and the Rams to Tuesday because of just COVID upon COVID upon COVID upon COVID. But let's start with some of the injuries, and then we'll work our way toward the COVIDity, if you will.
I have a question.
I have an answer, maybe.
Throughout the week, did you guys have any leagues where you were just like seeing like this player's out and you were like, yes, I'm playing against him. Yes, he's also out. I'm playing against him on that same team. Yes, that guy has COVID. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, like it finally hit me.
I really didn't get a ton of players. I was watching Cooper Kupp very closely to just pray that he didn't show up on the injury report, but most of the people that I'm playing against didn't get hit that much. It was kind of shocking.
Yeah, there's a big Cooper Kupp prayer circle going on this week. Like, just protect this man at all costs. Like, that would be the most fantasy football week 15 thing if Cooper Kupp, the exalted Cooper Kupp, were something were to happen with everybody seemingly going down in Los Angeles with Odell Beckham, with Jalen Ramsey, with Tyler Higbee, with all those other people. Johnny Munt, prayers up.
Players at one point.
25. That is a lot of players. That is a lot of players. So, yeah. I mean, looking through leagues, I'm actually really surprised that I didn't have as many people as I thought go down or at least be on the COVID list. Like, I don't have a lot of Odell Beckham. I don't have as much, Tyler Lockett. I don't have a lot. I have quite a bit of Jalen Waddle. That was probably the only guy that really affected me. But yeah, I know it affects a lot of people, so we're going to get into that. But we'll start with the questionable tags here for Arizona today. Early game, Arizona at Detroit. By the way, that'll be the game I'll be watching because Gus Johnson and Aqib Talib are doing that game. And if they're doing a game, it's likely going to be a lot better than you think. James Conner with an ankle injury is slated to go. Also, Chase Edmonds has been activated off of IR, so he will play as well. I still think James Conner is a low-end RB1 just because of what he did for your teams earlier in the season. They live in the red zone. They're playing Detroit, who has a porous run defense. I still think that that's going to be a game where Kyler Murray does not have to do a lot, and I think the running game is going to be pretty much for front and center. Are you still very bullish on James Conner, even with Edmonds coming back here today?
Yeah, I think even if he doesn't get, the first or second down work, he still gets all the goal line work. He still does have relevance in the passing game. So I'm not stressing about Conner.
I am not as high as you are, but I'm not stressing about it. He is a mid-tier to back-end RB2 for me because I think that they're going to play it safe now that Hopkins is out on IR for the rest of the season. They're going to make sure that they keep Connor fresh, and I don't think that they will need to use a hobbled ankle to score points.
Yes, that's certainly fair. If you have Connor, you're pretty much rolling. I mean, he's been, I believe, the RB 4 or 5 this entire season. So clearly one of the best values of fantasy going this year. So I think you have to roll him out if he's active, and certainly should be. We'll get inactives in about 25, 30 minutes or so here. Zach Ertz of the hamstring is expected to play. He was limited on Friday. Going down to Carolina. DJ Moore of the hamstring. Surprisingly limited all week. We'll get an official designation. Carolina's not really playing for too much here. Quarterback woes notwithstanding, I think that's going to be a spot where they probably just sit him, but they're competitive. We'll see how that goes. But DJ Moore, I'm not expecting a lot out of him today. I do think it's a Robbie Anderson. If there's going to be a spot that you can, I don't know if you can really outright trust Robbie Anderson, but I do like him today. Even though they're going up against a tough Buffalo team. Tony Pollard with a foot in. Sorry. I had it off the screen. I
keep my phone on my computer so I can be looking, and so I grabbed my phone because I wanted to post a question in the chat. I
wasn't sure if it was you or sorry. No, I had it on the dock. I should probably split screen that, huh? Going to some of the other injuries, especially for running backs here. Tony Pollard with a foot injury, limited most of the week, but is expected to play. Has been slated to maybe have his role scaled back a little bit just because of that foot injury, per Adam Schefter. If you're into Rex Burkhead and maybe you're a masochist, I don't know. I don't know if I quite am, but dealing with a hip or quad injury. So, limited Friday. We'll see what happens with that. Sterling Shepard with a calf. That's the tale as old as time with the Giants wide receivers. Limited Friday. So we'll see about his availability. Like I said, in about 20 minutes or so. Probably the biggest injury news would be Lamar Jackson and his ankle injury going into today's game against Green Bay, which I would say is certainly one of the most must-win games for any team on the slate. They're already down about 37 defensive backs, so it's going to be real tough sledding for the Ravens. But we'll see about Lamar Jackson. I mean, it could be Tyler Huntley. It's tough scene out there for the old Baltimore Ravens. But I think today is a player Green Bay players in DFS and pretty much otherwise.
Yeah, I had to fully tilt and just put in basically an all Green Bay stack because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do that.
I'm very curious if Jones or Dillon is the play. I keep
why not
back and forth.
Why not both?
Oh,
I would play them both in a lineup. In even a DFS lineup, I think I would play both.
Spicy
in a showdown. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I still think both clearly have value in fantasy. I mean, if AJ Dillon has been a guy I have started, quite a bit just because of 0 RB, and I need to start a running back that has a pulse. AJ Dillon still has a pulse. He's getting more work than Aaron Jones has lately, so it's tough to kind of not start him, especially knowing we're starting to get into mid to late December now, and the whole running the ball narrative, and we got to keep these guys, we got to use that hammer to bowl them over in the wintertime. So I definitely like him. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is also limited, questionable with a back injury. Both Denver running backs have been limited all week as well. Melvin Gordon dealing with a hip and thumb, as well as Javonte Williams with a knee, but both should go today. Expect the usual 50-50 split unless a running back gets hurt, and then we'll see what happens with that. Adam Thielen, a high ankle injury, on the wrong side of questionable per sources, but is still likely a game time decision. I'm not sure that they trot him out, but stranger things have happened. But that seems like a thing where Adam Thielen goes out and tweaks and then it's right back out. I don't know, just that screams that kind of scenario to me. Anything else to add before we get into the some of the COVID news here?
All right.
Easy show.
So much to cover.
Easy show. Well, we're going to blow through, well, not blow through these, but we're going to try to get through these because we know we have a lot of questions in the chat. Certainly appreciate all of you in there asking questions on this playoff Sunday here for fantasy football. So some of the guys that are out for COVID or for other reasons, Sammy Watkins was placed on the COVID list Saturday, will miss today. Buffalo wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders is doubtful with a knee injury. Unlikely he goes. DeAndre Swift, shoulder injury. So that opens up the door with Jamal Williams out as well. Opens up the door for the unheralded Craig Reynolds. Stop me if you've heard of him before last week, because you probably have not. I know I have not.
And you're a liar if you say that you have.
Britt with the strong words. But yes, I'm not going to lie. I have picked up Craig Reynolds in a lot of leagues, and will probably be starting him today in a lot of leagues. God help us all. Jacksonville running back Carlos Hyde with a concussion out. Daniel Jones with a neck injury, not a neck. I mean, everybody has a neck except for, well, anyway. Daniel Jones is out, so I don't know if it really matters who the Giants quarterback is, whether it's Fromm or no. Elijah Mitchell, concussion or and a knee injury, will be out. So Jeff Wilson might be a playoff savior today for those fantasy managers who have him. I know I have quite a bit of Jeff Wilson today. Going up against Atlanta, which I think can be run on. We'll go to our resident 49ers guru, Mr. Gary Haddow. Jeff Wilson, see a top 12 play for you today?
I mean, he's been a top 12 play every week, and he hasn't done it. So he's not. I mean, you're putting him in as probably a high-end RB3, back-end RB2. If he doesn't get that touchdown, what's going to happen? Yeah, it's Atlanta. He's played maybe some stiffer competition, but we felt the same way, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and he just didn't. He hasn't done it yet. And he looks okay. He just doesn't. There's a reason that Elijah Mitchell is working in this offense, and it's because he's little Raheem. Like, the dude's just so damn fast and has the injuries to boot. So
little Raheem, huh?
That's my new nickname. Screw that Rocket Mitchell crap.
Well, I mean, it certainly doesn't help that Deebo Samuel's still getting running back carries in that offense, so that kind of takes your upside away from Jeff Wilson a little bit. But I still like him as a mid to low RB2. I think he still can get in the end zone, gets about maybe 12 to 14 opportunities, receiving and running the ball. And I think he's a guy that can certainly do quite a bit with them. Like, he could probably total about 65 to 70 yards total and be fine for you. I just don't know if he has that upside, especially if they're going to be giving Deebo Samuel 8 to 9 carries out of the backfield each game.
Guaranteed he'll have 3 touchdowns. I had to drop him in a league like 2 weeks ago when Elijah was back, and I'm now playing against him in that same league. So egg on my face. I
think you meant 3 touchdowns for George Kittle, because that's pretty much what he's pacing on today.
Let's do 3 for Deebo, 3 for Kittle, and 0 for Wilson.
Okay, so the 49ers, well, I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. They are at home against Atlanta, so they could definitely put up at least 42 points on the Falcons today. So going into some of the other injuries, Kareem Hunt, and ankle, also was placed on the COVID list. So he is out for Monday night. Darren Waller out with a knee back. Marquise Goodwin doubtful with a foot injury. Then going in, one more early note, Jalen Waddle, we did talk about him real quick, but he will be out on the COVID list on Thursday. Brashad Perryman for the Tampa Bay Bucks was placed on the COVID list on Saturday. Other than that, it's still a fluid situation with some of the guys that are playing on Tuesday and even on Monday as well, with Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Baker Mayfield for the Browns, Alexander Madison also playing on Monday night for the Vikings. And then going into Tuesday, Tyler Higbee, Quez Watkins, Tyler Lockett, Alex Collins, Taylor Heineke, also Kyle Allen, the other backup quarterback for Washington. So that's all fluid stuff. Once we get word, certainly pass that along, but that's still up in the air as far as their availability for those Monday and Tuesday games. Anything else before we get into some start sit questions here on this beautiful Week 15 playoff Sunday?
Well, Washington was so worried about Heineke and Kyle Allen's status going into this game that they signed What's Eating Garrett Gilbert's Grape to their squad. So
it's a tough scene out there for the old football team.
It's pretty bad. And I think the line switched. The line was like -4-ish in favor of Philadelphia. And then after all this news, it's down to -9.5. Yeah. So
Eagles defense, man. If you, regardless, if they're available to pick up and you're waffling, just get them, set them, and forget them. Don't even think about it. That offensive line's decimated, and the Eagles' strength is their defensive line. I actually even picked up Darius Slay in an IDP spot just to see if he could, have that magic of maybe getting that pick six again. He's already done it 3 times this year.
Oh boy. Like I said, lean times for the old football team. So let's get into some of these questions here. We'll go to our hype man here, Axel Jansen. Pick 2 for wide receiver 3-4 in PPR. Nick Westbrook Ikini, Josh Reynolds, Rashad Bateman, or Albert Wilson. Rashad Bateman absolutely has to be there if Watkins is going to be out. So I think he's, Watkins, I talked about this on Wednesday, also on Data Barrage, that comes out every Tuesday, early afternoon, about Rashad Bateman being pretty much a lower snap guy, lower route guy. If Sammy Watkins is in the fold, he is not. So I can expect him to play about 75 to 80% of the routes. He has to be in there. Otherwise, it's honestly a toss-up to me, and I'd probably pick Nick Westbrook Ikini, but I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I think I'm going Bateman and Albert Wilson.
Wow.
Yeah.
No Waddle. I get that.
I'm Westbrook Ikini and Bateman, and I think Marquise. So Hollywood, there was some news that broke overnight about that he has this illness. And so now it's even a question of like, he's expected to play, but if he's going to be banged up, Bateman's 100%. Ikine, I don't know. Those all feel like low volume, and I'd trust Tannehill a little bit more than I probably did too. I don't know. Well, Wilson is going to be the 3rd, 4th target, probably behind Parker and behind Gesicki. So I don't know. I guess I could see it. They're probably even.
Yeah, I feel like there's more competition at the low end for Miami just because of Mac Hollins as well, and you've got all those tight ends, so it's easy. I think it's easier for Wilson to kind of get lost in the shuffle after Parker and after Gesicki, but there's certainly a case to be made there, especially in the slot where Gesicki is basically a slot receiver anyway, so he'll probably fit in there. Go ahead.
Well, my deal is that they're being really non-committal on if they're even going to play Gaskin or Ahmed. And so if they do lose those 2 key running back pieces, they literally don't have anybody else to run the football. It's going to be pass, 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 pass. So the volume alone is the tiebreaker there for me between Wilson and Westbrook Ikine.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Over to the Jags, Titans, or Vikings for defense number 2. Just looking at this, you're talking Jags. Oh, geez. I don't know if I want to trust I can't trust the Jags. Can't trust the Titans. I'm going to go the Vikings here.
Man, I'm just going to go purely based on the over-unders. So I have to go Jacksonville. The Vikings give up over the past 4 weeks. They've been giving up the most points to wide receivers. I think this is a big Darnell Mooney game, and I can't trust the Titans. So,
yeah, same thing. I'm going to go with the Jags.
What a world we live in.
This economy, man.
In this economy? Oh my Lord, that's the video I need to put up here. Holy crap. Graham Gano, Cairo Santos, or Eddie Pinheiro for kicker number 2. Giants don't know if they're scoring. Chicago might score. Pinheiro's the Jets, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord. Like, no. Cairo Santos, I guess.
Yeah, that's who I'm leaning towards. I don't feel great about it because it is December in Chicago, but I think you're right. I don't think Gano gets down there with Glennon. I'm really concerned about the Jets as well with no Elijah Moore, no Corey Davis. So Santos just by default, but I don't feel great about it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is where I need that video, the Michael Scott video. This is the worst. It just is the worst. Devontae Parker, Chase Claypool, or Peoples Jones for wide receiver 2 in standard. That's a decision for me between Parker and Claypool, and I will say though, just based on the attrition and based on, I mean, the fact that it's still kind of up in the air for Cleveland, that I do like Peoples Jones in a vacuum a little bit, but not over Parker Claypool. I think I would probably side toward Parker here, not by much, but I Parker's due for some volume today, a little bit more than Claypool has. I feel like he has a higher ceiling today.
Yeah, y'all know how I feel about Parker. He's one of my smash DFS value plays. I think his matchup against his corner is great. With Waddle being out, I love Parker.
I'm going to go with Claypool. I just think that feels like he's due, and it feels like they're going to be passing a whole bunch in that game.
I take it. I mean, trust me, you don't have to really sell me too much on Claypool, but I just cannot stand Ben. I just cannot stand that. That offense absolutely flows through 2 people, Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson in the passing game. And it's just Claypool is just a almost distant third there. But yeah, I think the days of him, when we remember last year just being an absolute touchdown scoring machine, I don't think those happen without a quarterback upgrade. And if this is Ben's last year, I think we really got to reevaluate Chase Claypool as far as, his value going forward. But I don't know if he's more of a kind of a luxury break glass kind of guy for me. I don't know if he's a guy that you can really feel good about starting every week.
Yeah.
Hubbard or Connor for RB3 in standard. I think this is consensus. It's got to be Connor if he's in there.
Yeah, it's, Buffalo's run defense did get kind of decimated with Damian Harris a couple weeks ago, but I feel like that game was an anomaly. I still think they're pretty good against the run. Hubbard hasn't really shown, a whole ton, and Connor's still going to get that goal line work.
Chase Edmonds is officially active. Just going to throw that out there. But yes, it's definitely Connor.
Yep. For Buffalo also, Emmanuel Sanders inactive. Also Zach Moss inactive too. So fire up your Devin Singletaries and your deep flex. Don't touch Matt Breida. I'm not. You shouldn't be. It's pretty much going to be Edmonds and Connor because Benjamin is also inactive. And then go into something. Did you see something?
Ty Johnson's inactive. I know that's a deep thing, but I had to play in this stupid league.
Oh,
sorry.
Ty Johnson. Hey, that was my safety blanket for a few weeks there. Not gonna lie, during the Mike White era.
I just didn't like. Is he just a healthy scratch? I guess because Mike Carter. I mean, it's just unnecessary, and Tevin Coleman's back.
I mean, it's possible he could have just been a healthy scratch, but I mean.
Anyway, we can move on.
Anyway,
super low.
Yeah, we're starting to get some of the inactives filtering in here. So anything we see, we will throw that out to y'all. PPR, Antonio Gibson or Michael Carter from good friend Daryl. Gotta be Gibson, right?
It's so close for me.
It's a lot closer than I would like it to be. And I'm actually leaning Carter just because of, you know, the absence of Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. Oh, this is really tough. And yeah, I'm going to have to go Carter. I can't trust anybody on Washington at this moment, especially with the uncertainty of quarterback. Oh, yeah, Michael Carter.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Gibson is just by far the better talent, but I don't know. I just don't. It's so gross. Carter, I guess. It feels terrible.
I still think I'm going to go Gibson here just because, you know, Carter, you know, still has a little bit of competition there with Tevin Coleman, and, you know, they're going to have to pass quite a bit, I think, to keep up with a red hot Miami team. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a real spot where Zach Wilson's going to want to check down a lot. You know, so I think upside maybe a little bit capped there. Don't know how many rushes they get and how they split that up there for the Jets. And then, yeah, you have Antonio Gibson where you're dealing with I guess you're talking about essentially a fourth string backup in Garrett Gilbert. You know, maybe he checks down a little bit more, but I think there are less questions about volume and workload with Gibson. And it's really just what's he going to do with it. And I would trust Gibson to do more with the workload that he gets versus Carter having to look behind him a little bit. I mean, you're looking at McKissick not being there. You're looking at basically a Wendell Smallwood kind of. I mean, even he's on the COVID list. So, I mean, geez, there's not much competition behind Gibson at this point. So I would probably lean him. Don't feel great about either guy. I'll just put that one out there.
I feel really bad answering this question because I feel like regardless of what you pick, it's going to feel wrong, even though they're going to
play them both
like super close numbers.
Yeah, it's not great, Bob. PPR flex, Van Jefferson, AJ Dillon, or Deonta Foreman. Geez, I think it's got to be Van Jefferson here.
Wow,
I think so too. Even with Odell being back, it makes it a little more questionable than it would have been early on in the week.
I feel so strongly that it's Deonta Foreman.
That's what I was going to say next, but he's
not close for me.
I think with Hilliard still being in the mix, that it's a little weird. And, you know, we only kind of got salvaged last week because Foreman did score that one little touchdown, but overall he wasn't totally efficient. But then again, Pittsburgh is terrible at defending the run. So
I'm pretty sure that last week Deonta Foreman put up all of his points in the first half, and they literally did not use him after that.
Well, that's what I'm worried about this week too. Like putting Hilliard back in.
It was a shutout.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like one was game script versus this. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm saying maybe it's a game script the other way. But
anybody want to hear a fun stat?
Yes, of course.
The last 3 weeks, from weeks 12 to 14, the Rams have 3 top 12 wide receivers in fantasy. And obviously Van Jefferson is one of them at wide receiver 11 in the last 3 weeks. I don't think there's any pass catcher that's worth his salt with Los Angeles that you can sit right now. That's why I think Van Jefferson is a lockdown play, especially in the playoffs.
I just have to strongly caution the logic that because he caught that bomb touchdown, he's justified as a starter when he got 3 targets in a very competitive game.
That's true. I mean, the only thing is I just look at that. Those two back between Beckham and Jefferson are interchangeable, and you can't throw. I mean, as much as the Rams have tried to do, you can't throw to Cooper Kupp every down. I mean, Van Jefferson has just been there. He's always running routes he's always running routes in that offense. It's the most consolidated offense as far as personnel. I mean, we talk about the Ravens having so many personnel packages and substitutions. The Rams are literally the polar opposite of that, where they play 6 to 7 guys and they play like one backup and that's it. So Jefferson will always be out there. Will always have that opportunity whenever Matt Stafford is the quarterback. I think that's a guy that, while he's a wide receiver 3 that I would play over a lot of wide receiver 1s and offenses right now.
Spicy.
I will not say Detroit is going to win today, though.
Appreciate that.
Not that spicy.
No, not that spicy.
Awesome.
It's not Panda Express Kung Pao chicken, by the way, which is, I'm sorry, I ate like kindergarten's weight in Panda Express last night. Not gonna lie. It was pretty goddamn good. PPR need to David Montgomery, James Robinson, Rashard Penny.
I think you have to go Robinson and Penny. Are you guys with me on this one?
Yeah, I am.
We know that Darrell Bevel is going to use the hell out of Robinson. He's going to make it a point to do well. There's Alex Collins is on COVID list. There's nobody else really in Seattle. And I just think Minnesota is going to score too many points for them to rely on a run game in Montgomery.
I don't know if I could bench Montgomery for Penny in my playoffs. I mean, Montgomery has been good. He hasn't been great, but he's been serviceable. I mean, there were a couple games where it was rough. I'm just trying to see. I guess maybe last week he wasn't serviceable. Man, the Rams are not the Texans. But at minimum, last week we still got 6 for 39 out of. I'm going Montgomery. I can't. Rashad Penny, that's great. Like, love it, but that is a lot of trust to put in what is considered to be a laughing stock of the NFL that nobody actually wants to roster Penny, and they've only been forced to. Also, I think James Robinson's probably going to be the overall RB1 on the week.
Ooh.
That's spicy.
I will say
the JT thing kind of threw it off, but like we'll just say the best running back of today's slate.
I will say if we're going to say anything about the Texans, the reason they are a laughing stock is not because of their defense. They are much closer to the Rams as far as DVOA than anybody would ever give them credit for. I think they're borderline top 12, I believe. I know they were top 10 a couple weeks ago. I believe they're right around that kind of 12, 13, 14 spot. So it's not because of their defense, even though they did just cut Zach Cunningham. But I still think Rashad Penny, I mean, it's a tough Rams front, but I still think that he can at least do a little bit of something today. So, I mean, it's tough to have to sit one of these guys, but yeah. Daryl, Schultz or Conklin, PPR tight end.
I wish Coop was here for this. I like Schultz as the better talent, because I do think that Conklin blocks more, but I think that this is going to be a heavy run game with Zeke today, because I think Dallas is just going to get so far ahead that we're not really going to have to pass. So I'm going to go Conklin.
I'm going to also go Conklin just because we've seen what Schultz can just be eliminated from the game, and it just sucks. Conklin did not have a good week last week, though. It's just crazy to me.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, if they're going to be without Thielen, though, I mean, that probably opens the door for.
But they were out. They didn't have him last week. I don't know. I guess that was also the Dalvin Cook show.
Yeah, I mean, that was Dalvin Cook. I mean, that was almost an anomaly in itself. That game. I mean, it's always going to be Justin Jefferson. And then you got a kind of coin flip between Osborne and Conklin as far as who's going to put up that next day. I would probably put my chips in on Conklin well over Schultz in this aspect. I mean, I talked about that on Wednesday, where Schultz, with all three of those wide receivers playing, just gets lost in the shuffle. So give me Conklin here. I think it's a pretty clear, for me, a clear decision over Schultz.
But also, Daryl, if you're not following him on Twitter, our other co-host of our Wednesday show is Andrew Cooper, and he is like a tight end guru. It is at Koopa Fiasco. I'll put it in the chat so you can see the name. Go on to his, and you'll and he has tight end rankings that he has on his Twitter timeline. So go check him out. He is who we all three of us default to him usually when it comes to tight ends.
Yep. Big facts.
Shout out. Cooper.
Yes, it do be like that. Choose a defense: Browns, Jags, Vikings, Steelers, Bengals, or Texans. My Chihuahua. I
would normally go Bengals here, but Chidobe Awuzie just got placed on COVID, and he's their best corner. And so I'm really thinking that it could be a Tim Patrick day for Denver.
Trey Hendrickson is out, right? After that injury he got last week.
Yeah.
I think I'm going Bengals here.
Oh,
yeah.
I still think I am.
I think you almost have to. It's not going to be as great as you want it to be, but at least
Houston's not a bad play either, though. It's between those two.
No, Houston lost 2 of their linebackers and their safety.
So, yeah, but they still have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's true. But the James Robinson show, though.
I'm going to go with Bengals. And then if you don't feel comfortable with that, I go with the Jags.
What a world we live in.
This economy, man.
We're going to be out standing in line for soup. Right around the corner. We're going to be, please, I want some more. Can I have
some more?
Taysom or Dak? That's a tougher question than that needs to be.
I have to go Dak, and not just because I'm a homer. I think that Taysom's good luck streak is going to run out this week. He only scored what he did last week because of that 49-yard run in garbage time, basically. I know that Dak hasn't been great over the past few weeks, but against the Giants, this is as good of a get-right game as you can ask for. So I gotta go Dak.
I don't know.
Taysom Hill.
I'm going Taysom Hill. I think he has a higher upside.
Taysom Hill, even if he screws it up, he's still going to be a top 12 quarterback. I mean, it's Tampa, granted against that secondary, but geez, I mean, he's got to come out and have a good start. I mean, I think Taysom, Dak's just not right. Not fully right. I mean, he's not going to be the first 4 games of 2020 Dak Prescott. I mean, I think it's foolhardy to expect anything like that, but against a defense that he should just trample over for some reason, he's probably not. I don't think it's just going to be that easy, smooth sailing 300-yard, 3-touchdown game. I don't think that never comes easy. And that's something I feel like should come easy to a guy like Dak Prescott, and it's just kind of disappointing. They're probably going to run the ball a lot more than we would like to. This is Dallas is favored by 10 points. So Giants with Glennon from, Phil Simms, whoever they want to throw out there. I don't know if it matters. So, yeah. Give me Taysom.
So much narrative both ways. And if Dak hadn't have shot the bed the last few weeks, it would be so different. But they need a get-right game, but that just feels like it's all season for every week.
Yeah. A good friend, Jared Barry here. Fantasy coach JB on Twitter, of course. So you can find his DFS Flash article at the end of the week, every week. Of course, does great work. Fantasy Besties, AaronTorres.com. I'm torn for my final Scott Fishbowl spot. Javonte, Allen Lazard, Tim Patrick, or wait for Adam. Too many touchdowns, Adam Thielen.
Don't wait for Thielen. He's not going to play. I'm actually leaning Lazard, and I typically don't like to chase last week's points, but Lazard has a primo matchup. MVS is most likely out. I think Green Bay is going to run the score up like crazy on Baltimore, and I'm in on Lazard today.
Yeah, Lazard's a fun play today. I mean, you've got no Randall Cobb, you got no MVS, you've got a Green Bay team that's going to need to pass quite a bit against Baltimore. I still think that even though they've got everybody and their mother out on COVID list, I think it's still going to be more competitive than anybody gives it credit for. So I still like Lazard here. I think the volume has to go somewhere, and he doesn't quite trust Equinemius St. Brown or Amari Rogers or any of those other guys. I mean, you can make a case for maybe like DeGuara, but I mean, realistically, it's Devontae Adams, and if it's not Adams, it's either one of the running backs or Alan Lazard.
I've just been trying to figure out how to zoom in on my eyes this whole time, and it has not worked. I'm going to go with Javonte.
Were you puffing the Magic Dragon before you came on here?
No, man. You guys said that it was JB that taught Coop how to do this.
It's probably whoever has the certain kind of webcam. I don't know how to. I'm a boomer. I have no idea how to do this.
I'm going to go with Javonte. I get the Lazard thing. I actually really do. I also think Rodgers hopefully is going to be the number one QB on the week. It's hard with how dispersed that offense will be. Javonte is at minimum 30-40% of that offense, because 60 to 70% of it is going to be the running backs.
This is a true story. Taysom Hill or Tua. If it's Taysom over Dak for me, it's Taysom over Tua.
I'm going to let Gary answer this because I have a dog in this fight. This is our co-managed big league.
Man, so I thought this was DFS. Sellers, you got to start putting that in these questions, man.
I know.
Because it's managed, I will probably go Tua because it's against the Jets, and I think they have no running backs literally right now. Maybe Gaskins is back, actually. I'm going to go with Taysom. I don't care. Taysom will be more fun against Tampa Bay. They're going to have to be playing catch-up, all that stuff. I don't know. I could see the Dolphins getting up defensively, and then they just kind of use Gaskins, and that's that. But I'm also playing against Tua. I probably should say that up front.
I'm just going to say, you know that you will never hear the end of it if Tua goes off over Taysom and you don't play him. That's my dog in that fight.
I got two in enough spots. I'm good. I got two in enough spots. Higgins, Judy, Devonta Smith, pick one. It's really hard. You can't really sit T. Higgins on the run he's on. I mean, he's been like the wide receiver 2 in the last 3 weeks. It's got to be T. Higgins, 100%.
Yep.
Is Hurts going to be back?
Slated as it's so right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's starting with Higgins, but I think Devontae is hopefully going to have a good week against.
I mean, there's just not enough volume, and he hasn't been a factor in like over a month.
But that month was like Sans, Hurts, and with I don't know, the Minshew game was weird that he was not as involved. Anyway, we're going with Higgins. I think that Devontae has a little bit of a bounce back game this week.
I hope so. I mean, God, I hope so. I have enough of them in best ball, trust me. Elliott, Pollard, Gibson, Hubbard, Foreman, pick 3.
Elliott, Gibson, Foreman. And in order for me, it's Elliott, Foreman, Gibson.
Yep. I agree 100%. I think Elliott's going to have a huge day today.
They're only going to give Pollard a handful of snaps. And Hubbard on the Wednesday show specifically said as a guy I'm not trusting down the stretch.
Well, and also I think we haven't mentioned this yet, but Tony Pollard is officially active. But yesterday, Dallas activated Jaquan Hardy from the practice squad, which to me makes me think that they need a safety net for Pollard, and that even though he is active, they're going to kind of place him on more of a snap count. So take that into consideration if you have to start Pollard this week too.
Yeah. I mean, Zeke has got to be in there. Foreman. I was thinking it would go Zeke, Gibson, Foreman, but we're all on the same page here as far as the 3 out of the 5 is just semantics of the order. But
Zane Gonzalez, the Panthers kicker, probably is not going to get to play today. He's getting helped off the field right now.
What?
Oh.
So that'll be an interesting dynamic to see what they do if they're just going to go for it more on 4th down, which actually
2-point conversions on.
And a lot of Cam trying to rush for those 4th downs.
A lot of Cam QB powers. Let's go. For Mr. Gary Haddow, I've seen this name before. Half PPR. Wide receiver 2. It's between hamstring questionable DJ Moore, Chase Claypool. Already had Najee Deontay going, and Russell Gage and AJ Green. We're picking one of these, Mr. Gary.
Yeah, I'm leaning DJ Moore now that he's active. This question was asked to you guys before, but you and Coop didn't answer. Brittany and I have already talked about it.
Well, then, some shade my way.
I also had to pick Kevin Chubb because he has my 2nd round pick, so he has a vested dog in this show.
If the choices outside of DJ Moore weren't so, I guess for lack of a better term, underwhelming, I would pick one of those. But I mean, hamstring injury, especially when it was just tweaked last week, is tough. I mean, certainly grades of hamstring strains, and I would guess DJ Moore's is probably not. His isn't strong enough to warrant sitting, even on a Carolina Panthers team that's probably not going to be playing for anything. More professional pride than anything. Would still go with Moore, but I'm not super feeling. I mean, I'm not feeling Carolina anyway, and then add DJ Moore. He's not going up against Tre'Davious White. He's hurt, so yeah, it's tough. Probably would still go with DJ Moore though.
It was between Moore and Gage, I feel like, for me. I think the Niners are going to do better. Plus, it's really hard I hate starting guys going against the Niners because I feel either bad or selfish.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Is with the Justin Jefferson shares. I'm sitting here watching the Packers-Vikings game and like cheering on when Justin Jefferson gets a touchdown, and then Aaron's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm sorry.
That's how the Taysom Hill Dallas game was. We started him in that big co-managed league, and I was like, he needs to do well, but not well enough to win.
Yeah.
There's a very fine line.
I mean, I'm sitting here fist pumping, and Aaron's looking at me like, "Yeah, Justin Jefferson scored." Sorry, do you want me to put food on the table or what?
Fun random anecdote. In the 2nd round of the playoffs, maybe years back with Vincent Jackson, if you guys remember in the playoffs, he had a 3-touchdown game against the Niners. And I was at the game in San Diego with friends wearing my Niners gear and everything. But I had kept Vincent Jackson on my IR spot for 10 weeks. It was when he held out, and then it went longer. Might have even been to get me into playoffs. And he scored 3 touchdowns. And it was the only time I was at a game. I was like, yeah, Vincent Jackson. I hate the Chargers, though.
Nice. That's awesome. R.I.P. Vincent Jackson, by the way, for that. Also, Kevin Chubb. Hi.
What's up?
What's up? Mr. Peter Byrne, Chase Edmonds, or Melvin Gordon in half PPR. I already know Gary's answer.
This is
Jackson died. Yes, you know my answer.
This is hard. It's harder than I think it should be, but I think Melvin Gordon, because I think Connor is still going to get that goal line work.
Yeah, I think it's still got to be Melvin Gordon. I mean, he's had a pretty good, season, all things considered. Chase Edmonds on his first game back in a month, with Connor established there quite a bit. I still think he gets enough opportunity, but I think Gordon has just produced to where I don't know if he can. It's tough to sit him right now. So I think you got to go old Melvin Gordon.
Go, Mel, go.
Yes. I got a couple questions here as well. Need one. Javonte Williams, Devontae Parker, or Michael Gallup?
It's between Parker and Javonte for me.
Totally.
And I think I still have to lean Parker.
This is PBR?
Yes.
Yeah, probably going Parker. But it is. I mean,
it's really close.
In a flex ranking type thing.
Here's one. PPR. Gabriel Davis or Mike Davis?
Gabriel Davis.
Gabe Davis all damn day. Y'all
So I
know
was
my
thinking-
feelings on him.
Depending on how this week goes, like I wanted to talk about Patterson as like the guy I trust on last week's show, because I think that there's obviously this whole narrative around like we're arresting him and blah blah blah, but like I don't know, like they had the game well in hand, so why not play Mike Davis? I get that they like flip flop, but like the Niners should be up and they should be using Gage and Patterson as their offense with Pitts when they can, but so I'm going with not Mike Davis, whatever the answer is.
Not Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis was like the epitome of that running back dead zone dude that did nothing for you all season.
Yeah, and Manny Sanders is out, so
yeah, he is literally the embodiment of the RB dead zone. By the way, shout out to of course JB Berry, fantasy coach JB, who has more Mike Davis than should be legally allowed.
Oof.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Here we go. David Njoku, if without Hooper, or James O'Shaughnessy.
I love O'Shaughnessy this week. I love him. Grugier Hill is out with COVID and a knee injury. Justin Reed's out with a concussion. They lost another linebacker. I can't even. Oh, Christian Kirksey's out too. So
Yeah,
like,
go figure.
Yeah, O'Shaughnessy is going to eat today. That's my bold take of today. Like, the Jags have Bevel back at coach. Robinson and O'Shag Hennessy are going to eat.
O'Shag Hennessy. I like the O'Shag nickname, by the way. Like that should be like in the CMC like kind of lexicon where I'm not going to type out his whole name. It should be just like JOS.
See, I've typed it enough this week because I'm so high on him that I know how to spell it now. That should tell you how high I am on it.
Right. Like, Lord help us if like Kyle Juszczyk like is like a top 20 option in fantasy, because everybody is going to have to learn how to spell his name.
Yep.
And I consider myself a really good speller, and I still have to like look it up every time.
It's all those consonants.
What? What apostrophe is there in Juszczyk?
Oh, I thought you were talking about O'Shaughnessy. Sorry.
I mean, that
Juszczyk, I still have to look up, dude. I have to look up every freaking time. Trust me.
How is the asterisk or the asterisk? How is the apostrophe in O'Shaughnessy the problem?
Because if you search for OSH,
have you not watched like
DK? If you search for OSH and DK, O'Shaughnessy does not pop up. Just so you know.
Have you not watched that Mark Wahlberg movie? What's that movie? The one with with all the Irish people in it.
The Departed.
Yeah, that one. Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Mind meld, by the way.
I was on another
because nobody should have got that. Would have been like if you're watching a game show. That would have been if you're like watching like the $10,000 Pyramid, and me and Gary are on there, and I'm trying to like the answer is The Departed, and I'm like that Mark Wahlberg movie with all the Irish people, like everybody's screaming at their TV, like what the hell is wrong with you? How do you not get that? And then Gary gets it, and then America rejoices.
When it comes to Njoku, I can't trust BDN Jr. to do anything. I mean, we've seen what Mullins has done with the Niners, and that was great. That was
Took me a second, BDN Jr.
And he was good, but like he also was a turnover machine. This is going to be a Chubb and Dearness game, hardcore. So thanks, Kevin's
in plural. All right. Well, it is 11:01 Central Time, which means it is 12:00 now too Eastern Time. So we will hop on out of here. Of course, if you have any more questions, send them on over to us on Twitter at KTompkinsII, at Haddow27, at Britt_Flinn. As we get that, let's just answer these couple questions and then hop on out of here.
Now they all popped up.
Now they're all popping up. No, don't leave us. Michael Carter, Gibson, Sanders. I'm guessing that's Miles. Wilson Jr., Sony, pick 3. Henderson's playing, so probably take Sony out of the equation a little bit. For me, I mean, Sanders,
Carter.
Wilson, Carter.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Gibson's got a factor. It's tough. I still think I'm a Sanders, Gibson, Wilson. Carter just off of that.
I'm going Carter, Gibson, and Sony. I think Henderson, not only did he have COVID, he's still got another injury. I think even if he's active, he's more of a safety valve. So I think Sony has a heavier workload than a lot of people expect this week.
Fair. Absolutely fair.
Carter's
Axel. Yeah. Use check or Jeremy McNichols in PPR. Juice.
Always go with the juice.
Yeah, McNichols is just like he's their third fiddle now, and at least you know that Juice is going to get should get potentially red zone looks, but also he'll get some wide receiver snaps. So let's do it.
Knox or Gesicki? You ain't moved me off of Mike Gesicki.
It has to be PPR standard. Standard, I'd like Knox. Anything half or PPR, I'm going to go with Gesicki.
Yeah, it's got to be PPR. I don't think we play standard.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Buffalo Bills offense has flowed through Diggs and Knox more than any other secondary receivers, but Gesicki is basically a wide receiver anyway. So I think you're not, like I said, you're not getting me off of old sick nasty.
For DK, I'm going to go with Gesicki.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what the pricing is on that, but I would assume probably they're in the same kind of tier. So Britt would know more about that than I would. Although
Sirius XM famous Britt?
Yes.
It's so exciting.
Pro Football Focus famous Britt?
I want to say that Knox is like 5,800 and Gesicki's 54.
That seems cheap.
I think
I am Ron Burgundy.
That seems really, really cheap for Gesicki, and if so, I'm gonna go and make a lineup.
He might be 6. I'm not sure. If I just need to find my entries,
I can tell you right now.
It says DK same price.
I'm messing with it.
It's also in the chat.
Is 5. Knox is 51.
Okay.
And Kittle is 75. That's all that matters to me. I'm doing a double tight end for my flex. I'm doing Kittle, and I'm going to go with Smythe. I find that he looks to Smythe in the end zone, and without Waddle, who has been an end zone look for him, I think that we'll see a Smythe touchdown. I know he's only 2,500.
Is that in a tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I only do $1 tournaments. I only do like the big ones. Well,
go win. Gary's winning $250 today, grinding out that mortgage.
Dude, one day I'm gonna hit that $10,000 on the dollar.
Yep.
Hey, one day, you know what? I could have dealt with a little more New England scoring last night, though. I won some more Panda Express last night. So,
Britt, did you win on your lineup? Because you at least had the Colts D.
Yeah, I won more than I put in. So,
okay,
there you go. Ramondre, man, so disappointing.
Yeah.
And also that hit on Pittman by Van Noy in the back, and Pittman got ejected for it. Like
that was shit.
He can suck my toe. I'm serious. Like that was terrible. Kevin's face.
Okay.
Suck my toe.
Well, on that note, now we will head on out of here again. Send us your questions at KTompkinsI, at Haddow27, at Brett_Flinn. Of course, we will be back on Wednesday for Lightning Round, where we will go through some more players that we trust and don't trust for likely either your semifinals or championship round in week 16. So we'll go through those. But like I said, send those questions on to us on Twitter, and we will see you next this coming Wednesday. Not going to say toodles. Not doing it.
Good luck, everyone. I'll say
good
toodles.
luck, everybody.
Toodles.